111-222. Soil Merchants. Buy today, build today.
This is NTV.
Tonight, we are delivering our memo from the Future Generations Corner, which is the same one where the law sits. We are filing it to the Nakuru County Police Commander, Samuel Ndanyi, who has repeatedly, blatantly disobeyed court orders issued regarding the debacle at the War Memorial Hospital. This is an outright affront to the rule of law, the very thing that is meant to glue our nation, its ideals and sobriety together. And it gets even more concerning when judges, not one but two, pull out of the case on account of their orders being disobeyed, or in other words, being reduced to mere suggestions with no repercussions on the offenders of these grave illegalities. How should we inspire wananchi to have confidence in the rule of law and the institutions of law enforcement when they are openly doing the opposite of what is expected of them? We open this memo with a mention of the future generations. So what happens when a child refuses to obey their parent, their teacher, spit in the faces of their elders, then claim the government does it anyway? Is this how we're looking to nurture ideals and build Kenya's tomorrow? Ndanyi argued in court that he and his team could not disperse the goons as they were too close to Nakuru State House, and it would be a catastrophe to fire tear gas or bullets there. So effectively, the goons were allowed to reign in all their goonery. The sensitivities on security and such installations are acknowledged. That said, are we intimating that the periphery of a protected area is a safe place for thugs, goons and their ilk to thrive in open sight? Is there no way to enforce the law and preserve it in such situations? Today, at the President William Ruto-led meeting in Naivasha, the police boss was in attendance and mingling with his bosses, and basically going on with his business. One would see why there are questions such as who really is behind this land issue at the War Memorial Hospital, and if such individuals do exist, just how powerful and influential are they? Why is it that not even the Judicial Service Commission's protest seems to be receiving the response it deserves? Why is this open mtadu attitude still unseemingly unperturbed? What is inspiring this audacity and boldness? All said and done, the law of the land must be upheld, and leaders must live in full acknowledgement of the pedestal the law and their privileged office hand them. Nobody, regardless of their political position, connection, rank or otherwise, should put the sanctity, sanity and integrity of our children's future underfoot. That is the memo. We switch the lights on the dark side of Kenya Power.
Kenya Power are like enjoying monopoly, which is really affecting traders.
We know the problem, and I think rather than overload the line to try and make everybody happy and then switch off the whole country, we are now doing some bit of load management.
On this week's accountability segment, The Monitor. Also tonight, 8.8 billion shillings in duplicated county and national government projects. Remember, the country is struggling. Details on what it means right here. And have you noticed how hot it is? What's that about? We cool your curiosity. Our sustainability desk will break it down. Plus, it seems there's a communication disconnect in the William Ruto administration and discontentment in the House of Kenya Kwanza.
Kwani amusomi gazeti? Na saa ile mimi naongea mnafikiri mimi naongea hewa? What are you saa ile mimi naongea nyinyi mnasikianga? Do you understand English?
We tell you why.
Live from Nation Centre, this is NTV Tonight with Smriti Vidyarthi.
Thanks very much for joining us. David Agondoa is on the sign language interpretation beat. More than 8.8 billion shillings in the current financial year might go unaccounted for due to duplication of projects by the national and county governments. This is according to the Parliamentary Budget Office, PBO. The entity, which advises lawmakers on budget matters, says that the two levels of government will collectively spend a total of 21.8 billion shillings in the 2023-2024 financial year on activities outside their respective mandates, making it harder for the country to reduce its accumulation of debt and budget shortfalls. The national government is expected to spend 14.7 billion shillings on devolved sectors such as agriculture, robbing other departments of enough investment. Counties will spend up to 7.1 billion shillings on bursaries and scholarships for students in secondary and tertiary education institutions, a function that constitutionally belongs to the central government. Now, the PBO says the overlap of roles are contributing to budget constraints on paying salaries, reduced efficiency in service delivery, increased level of bureaucracy, underutilization of the workforce, and also disagreements between the two levels of government over funding. Elsewhere, President William Ruto has reprimanded Kenya Kwanza leaders for failing to fully back his policies. The president read the Riot Act to the MPs, who indicated they were not aware of foreign nursing job opportunities. And as NTV's Ruth Samwe reports, the Kenya Kwanza consultative meeting revealed the discord within the executive and legislative arm of government.
Executive and Kenya Kwanza Parliamentary Group retreat in Naivasha, it was clear MPs were discontent and the head of state was talking tough. The low uptake of 2,500 nursing job opportunities in Saudi Arabia that only received 500 applicants saw the president read the Riot Act on MPs following murmurs from MPs indicating that they were not aware of the offer.
Ati hamjaambiwa? Mnataka kuambiwa na nani? Kwani amusomi gazeti? Na saa ile mimi naongea mnafikiri mimi naongea hewa? What are you saa ile mimi naongea nyinyi mnasikianga? Do you understand English or
Some of the government policies have not received the full backing by the Kenya Kwanza legislators, and on that too, the president was not happy.
You are the government, so don't stop pointing at some government. There is no other government. You are the government.
And the president seems to have toned down on his way or no way in the implementation of the affordable housing.
We will implement the housing program. I don't want to say by whatever means possible. I have just said we will implement.
The head of state also took a swipe at retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, who last week asked leaders to stop focusing on the past in what he likened to looking at a rear-view mirror.
I had one of our friends say yesterday, when, I don't know the day yesterday or the day before, that when he sees things, he feels like crying. It is true. Because they are now wondering, it was actually true that housing was possible, and he wasted time on reggae.
Somebody saying that you should not look at the rear mirror. I want to encourage you to continue looking at the rear mirror, because the inventor of the motor vehicle was not mad by putting the rear mirror. In your leadership, Your Excellency, you have made it very clear that no Kenyan should be left behind.
The president is expected to proceed with a cabinet retreat in the next 2 days, where performance of cabinet secretaries will be among the key deliberations. Ruth Sarmoi, NTV in Naivasha, Nakuru County.
All right, to other hot news, and you have no doubt felt the heat. It feels as if the sun is beating down on us. So what exactly is going on? Well, our sustainability editor Zainab Wandati delves into the scorching details of why it is so hot. Zainab, should we be worried?
Well, Smriti, I should start by saying it's usually hot in February. Every single year, it's usually hot in February. So for some reason, Kenyans like to have a short memory, so they never remember that this time of the year is hot. January, February, going into March just before the short rain season are usually the hottest month. And for this particular year, why you're feeling like the heat is a little bit too much is because this February is coming right after an El Nino. And in Nairobi, temperatures have been hitting 34 degrees. Now, in Lodwar, 39 degrees. If you can't survive the heat in Nairobi, just imagine how hot it is in Nairobi and what it's like in Lodwar and what it's like for the people in Lodwar. Now, scientists say that one of the reasons why it's hot right now is because there are still parts of the country that are experiencing rain, such as Western Kenya. It's raining heavily there, and on many days they barely ever see the sun. So there's so much precipitation in the atmosphere, so much moisture in the atmosphere, and this moisture is therefore trapping heat. So the nights are really hot, the days are really hot. Remember to sleep with your windows open, slightly open maybe, so that you don't die in the heat. However, does this have anything to do with climate change? The short answer, yes and no. No, because year-on-year temperature changes just is what is known as climate variability, or basically weather. When today is hot, tomorrow is not. Today, last year it was cold, this year it's hot. That's what's known as variability, and that's what's happening now. But if you look at it in the larger picture of global warming, then yes, you might say that it is global warming, it's climate change, because the World Meteorological Organization says that January 2024 has actually gone down as the hottest January ever recorded. Usually temperatures in January between the years of between 1990 and 2021 have been increasing at an average rate of 0.2 and something degrees. But for January 2024, it was 0.7 degree temperature rise. And if you look at it, every decade it usually gets warmer and warmer each decade. So if you look at it in the larger sphere of things, you might say that this is climate change. But it always is hot every February. So it's always important to remember how to protect yourself from this heat in the months of February when it's hot. Keep yourself hydrated and stay in ventilated areas. Smriti.
All right, Zainab, thanks very much for those insights, and indeed, keep hydrated, drink plenty of water. That at least will help you get through the day. Now, the Kenya Power and Lighting Company has, in the recent past, come under fire due to nationwide blackouts, inconsistent prepaid and postpaid power bills, and the long wait that those who wish to power their homes have to endure. Tonight on this week's accountability segment, NTV's Sydney Chazima looks at the dynamics in the power sector and puts to task the Ministry of Energy on the monitor.
It goes without saying that the bold speak truth to power. In literal sense, Kenyans emboldened by frustrations have resorted to speak their truth to Kenya Power Company.
The PLC as a company has to really style up.
The Kenya Power Company has in the recent past been a pain point for many households and business people.
Kenya Power are like enjoying monopoly, which is really affecting traders.
From the inconsistent power supply that has manifested in form of nationwide blackouts, experienced thrice in a span of 3 months in 2023, to hiked postpaid and prepaid power bills.
How we are paying for electricity is very inconsistent.
From those whose lives are cut short through electrocution to those who narrowly escape power grid accidents.
Kila mtu ilikuanga mguu yako ikuonye. Ilikuanga ni mguu yake ikusambe. Wewe ukimbie.
Tonight, NTV reveals what really ails the country's power supply and the effects it has on the economy and the livelihood of many Kenyans. It is around 8 p.m. in Homa Bay County. Dark streets and alleys are the norm in this town. According to Homa Bay residents, the moment the sun sets and the night begins its shift, so does KPLC's power outage.
Ikifika saa moja sharp every day inaenda. Inarudi mpaka saa 3.
The town's once thriving SME businesses which were highly dependent on electricity are now a shadow of their former selves.
Siwezi hudumu customer wanaenda juu ya stima.
Inaweza potea hata the whole day twice. So it's like we are working for 3 to 2 days of the whole week.
But according to the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, the power outages in the western side of Kenya are due to a calculated load shedding tack.
Rather than overload the line to try and make everybody happy and then switch off the whole country, we are now doing some bit of load management, and it is only limited to that small area. On this particular day affecting Homa Bay, did you say Homa Bay town?
Yes.
On this particular day, Homa Bay was affected, Kindu Bay, Rongo, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
And it is a deliberate load management which is done to ensure that we contain the challenge of transmission constraint.
The problem of power outage is not limited to Homa Bay County alone. Approximately 370 kilometers away lies Nairobi City and its environs, and here the story is almost similar. One subject in this case resides in one of Nairobi's neighboring counties. Since he has requested anonymity, we shall call him Genesis. Genesis is the head of a family of 2 children. He works online jobs to fend for this family. The nature of his job demands a constant supply of power, but he has had his fair share of losses occasioned by power outages. At one time in his home,
Stima ilikuja na it blew out everything, and I thought maybe I'm the only person with the problem. Turns out the whole apartment was like that. Turns out even other people in other apartments were like that within the same area.
These upsurges and outages have been partially blamed on the quality of transformers being installed in the country.
2-3 kilometers from here, people are experiencing the same downtimes and stuff. So ikasemekana shida ni transformer. So transformer ingine ilikuwa inafaa kuletwa ka kidogo ikakuwa ati sijui ni transformer ilipotea.
This is a Kenya Power Depot here in Roysambu area in Nairobi, which serves as a graveyard for close to 10,000 transformers. This place has been hosting these transformers for years, and the former regime attempted to have them fixed to clear the backlog.
We've become fairly stringent in the quality of transformers today in terms of procurement and ensuring that we are able to get transformers with guarantees, so that you don't have the opportunity of supplying a transformer and soon after we pay you, you take off.
It is not only the inconsistent power supply that gets customers like Genesis worried, but also high prepaid power bills.
Hey, kuna siku bili ilikuja 13K. How we are paying for electricity is very inconsistent. The amount and the prices, they keep changing to the higher side inconsistently. Kinunua kama token ya tuseme 1,000. Kuna wakati ilikuwa 27 units, kakuja ikapunguka to I think around 24 units point something juu. Right now nachezea 21 units.
The ministry links the inconsistent number of units at a given token purchase to a power connectivity debt recovery strategy being employed.
The last mile connectivity is connected for free. There is no initial capital to get connection, but we do recover. So it is really the concept of you've purchased connection on credit, and therefore we recover slowly until we recover the full amount.
Away from the high power bills to another issue that has affected households in the recent past.
Nimenunua tokens, and then because I was a bit busy and engaged, nikaeka simu kando. My laptop inaweza kaa na moto for almost 4-5 hours. So wakati wenye imeanza, by the way, I bought steamer. Kuangalia, the tokens have not come yet. Okay? So I really needed to give everyone at the work heads up. Hey, there's no power at my place. I'll be off for some time. We waited. You're waiting hata inkusaidia. So I had to reach out to my partner and kumwambia kama anaweza nunua steamer on her end. So she did that. Within I think 15 minutes, tokens zake zilikuja.
Every day we have 1 million transactions buying tokens. Very, very heavy for the system. So a small glitch in the system will delay the return of tokens to the customer. So that interfacing of the M-Pesa or the purchasing platform to the Kenya Power, and we are now even working with eCitizen. Is something that we need to polish up.
All said and done, Kenyans have resorted to some stopgap measures to shield themselves from constant power outages and upsurge.
There's a gadget called AVS. It's like, for layman, it's like a TV guide, but for the whole house. Okay? So you connect it to the main grid, steam inakujia hapo, and then ikipita some amount of voltage inakata, ikienda lower, some amount of voltage inakata.
Those in Homa Bay and other parts of the country have set their sights on renewable energy.
We really need our market to be 24-hour, and our request is that our lights be solar powered, so that we don't miss electricity all the time.
With the construction of the Narok-Bomet power supply circuit, the ministry affirms that national power outages occasioned by an overload in the western circuit will be a thing of the past.
We are ensuring that an overload does not happen on that line as we build Narok-Bomet to deload that link, and we're doing that very quickly. Unfortunately, when you say quickly in the engineering construction, it will, even with funding at hand, it will take us a minimum of 15 months.
Those emboldened by frustrations from Kenya Power should be having some bit of a closure now. But as things stand,
Kenya Power are like enjoying monopoly, which is really affecting traders.
Sydney Chazima, NTV.
All right, well, you can get more on that in tomorrow's Daily Nation. Here is a check of the front page. This is what it looks like. Kenya Power billed Kenyans an extra 70 billion shillings. You've also got the key headline, Death Traps in Schools. This is a story about children who died in schools under unclear circumstances. Also there, Ruto wants total loyalty from Kenya Kwanza MPs and plenty more. Make sure you grab your copy of the Daily Nation tomorrow. We're taking a quick break on this broadcast. Nina Shaban has the day's business up next.
Lakini vile hii ekonomi imetufinya, ilinibidi kubadilisha sabuni nikatumia ingine rahisi. Bala, ilibidi nioshe kila kitu mara mbili. Sikuwa na otherwise, nikarudia Ariel.
Ariel, usafi bora kwa mwosho mmoja tu.
I've got a plan that throws a huge party. Every time I check my balance.
ICEA Lion has a plan for everyone. ICEA Lion, what's your plan?
shake na mawe ishaanza kumwagwa. Title deed ndio hii, jishindie shamba hili la 1.1 million Kenyan shillings. Lori za mawe na mchanga. Dial *570#. Chase the lucky game.
The moment I feel my pain starting to fade, it's like I'm going back to myself on a really good day.
Panadol Extra releases you from strong pain. Panadol, release starts here.
You do your best out there, let us do our best in here with the disinfecting power of Jake. Because Jake cleans and kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs and COVID-19 in your home. Jake, your family's guardian against germs and COVID-19.
Sí, ¿vos de qué parte sos? No, no está cerca del mar.
Yo de aquí,
Mira,
¿tú de qué parte eres?
del norte.
Es una zona cerca de un día, pero...
You stay soft, Adric concentrate. 1. It is 4 times more concentrated. 2. It is packed with 4 times more fragrance. 3. 1 bottle gives you 40 washes. You stay soft, Adric concentrate.
Also available in convenient sachets.
Sasa.
Poa, Aisha, karibu.
Asante. Bosi wako yuko wapi?
Hayuko, alishatoka.
Saa zingine watoto sio lazima wafanane na wazazi wao haswa.
Bwana.
Kwa mfano, wamwona Alisha. Alisha ni mtoto mpole. Huwezi mlinganisha na mamake.
Sasa, tuanze mipango yetu.
Unajua sikudhani itakuwa rahisi. Baby, you are a genius.
Bam!
Good evening. It is time for business news and my name is Nina Shaban. The National Treasury plans to issue a local foreign currency denominated bond to help finance its budget that would complement domestic funding sources such as Treasury bills and bonds. In its new medium-term debt strategy report, Treasury indicated that in order to supplement traditional sources of funding, the Public Debt Management Office will explore alternative funding sources, including the issuance of a Kenya shilling syndicated debt, foreign currency denominated domestic bond, and a private placement for both local and external markets, among others. Data from the Central Bank of Kenya, for instance, shows that foreign currency deposits in the banking system touched a record of 1.4 trillion shillings as of November last year. The government says that it will soon be heightening regulation on SACCOs as it seeks to safeguard depositors' monies under the Central Liquidity and Shared Service Platform. Now, the platform is set to be an introduction of the Cooperatives Bill 2023, which seeks to reintroduce the role of the Commissioner of Cooperatives, among other reforms in public administration. The bill, whose processing has been cited as being at an advanced stage, seeks to shield depositors coming after cases of corruption in the savings and credit cooperatives organizations in the past years. These details were revealed at the Harambee SACCO annual general meeting.
We are undertaking. One is on we have the cooperative bill, which is at a very advanced stage. Actually, right now is in Parliament, awaiting the enactment. after the consultations that has been going on with other key stakeholders. And number two, we are also earmarking to we have proposed amendments to the SACCO Act so that to bring in the central liquidity and shared service platform and deposit guarantee clauses in the SACCO Act so that to be able to protect and safeguard members' savings.
The drive to have more efficient farming is receiving more boost as farms invest in mechanization and more so in smallholder farming. Motor vehicle distributors Simba Corp Aspire is targeting about 4.5 million Kenyan smallholder farmers in its new partnership with motor vehicle manufacturer Mahindra to support mechanized farming. The collaboration aims to provide a comprehensive range of reliable and high-performance tractors to farmers, which serves to move the country closer towards food security, which is key, especially in these times when climate change is taking a toll on farming. And that's it for Business News. My name is Nina Shaban Smriti. We'll be back with more.
To protect our family from germs that cause illness when it's cold, we use Dettol soap.
Dettol soap with germ defense gives you protection. When it's cold, germs are transferred in different ways, and Dettol soap's germ defense protects you from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Be Dettol sure.
Now introducing the new 125-gram Dettol soap at only 200 shillings.
Imagine Lotomoto ukicheza na 30 bob una stand a chance to win shake ya 1.1 million. Na ukicheza na 50 bob unaweza get shake na lori za mawe na mchanga.
Sasa wacha hiyo. Ukicheza na 50 bob kwa website yao, imagine unaweza angukia matri mpya.
Chance yako ya business ndio hii. Na ushindi ni 5th of May. Cheza Lucky Game kwa www.ebet.co.ke na uvuke na free.
Mortein Doom, with its trusted formulation, it provides protection in seconds. So spread the Mortein Doom message of how we, you and I, can fight to end malaria.
Mortein Doom, Kenya's #1 choice.
Imperfections, blackheads. Try Garnier's Pure Active 3-in-1 Charcoal, powered by salicylic acid and purified charcoal to reduce pimple-causing germs by 99.5%. One product, 3 uses for a pure skin. Garnier Pure Active 3-in-1 Charcoal, #1 in South Africa, by Garnier Naturally.
Stay 5 degrees cooler.
Body odor is caused by germs, and on active days, the sweating and odor are more. That's why you need the new improved Dettol Cool with up to 5 degrees instant cooling sensation and odor protection. Be Dettol sure.
Before we close, it is time to inspire you with nature. Here is footage from one of our NTV Wild Talk and Twende shoots of the mountain bongo, a type of antelope endemic to the forests of Mount Kenya. Have a look. Well, bongos are critically endangered, but there is good news because 7 new calves were born into conservation care at the Mount Kenya Wildlife Conservancy that has a rewilding program, and this year marks the 20th anniversary of the first bongo repatriation to Kenya program. You can learn more about this beautiful animal by checking out the bongo episode on NTV Wild Talk on our website ntvkenya.co.ke. All right, well, on that peaceful note, we've got to close this broadcast. Stay tuned though, because Sport On is coming up next and you really don't want to miss it. I'm Smriti Vidyarthi. David Agondoa has been our sign language interpreter, and that's why you don't want to miss it. You see who's in the house? Yeah. All right, I'm going to go get a quick selfie with him. Stay with us and enjoy the show. Bye-bye.
This is NTV.
Step up to more fun and get more than you pay for. Upgrade now and get boosted to the next package for free. Dial *423# or call 0711 066 000 and upgrade to the next level for free.
Imperfections, blackheads. Try Garnier's Pure Active 3-in-1 Charcoal, powered by salicylic acid and purified charcoal to reduce pimple-causing germs by 99.5%. One product, 3 uses for a pure skin. Garnier Pure Active 3-in-1 Charcoal, #1 in South Africa, by Garnier Naturally.
Prudential is now on M-Pesa app. Get a cancer cover from as low as 750 bob per month. Na pia, ukiwa admitted Hosi, unapata chapa daily. For each day hauko hustle, for as low as 1,250 bob per month. Unangoja nini? Prudential is now on M-Pesa app. Visit today na ujipange na life.
The Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, Water Sector Trust Fund, the Council of Governors and other collaborating institutions welcome you to the Water and Sanitation Investors Conference at KICC, Nairobi, Kenya from 6th to 8th March 2024. The theme of the conference is Accelerating Investments for Sustainable Access to Water and Sanitation for All. To participate in the conference, visit www.wasic-invest.ke. See you there. Water Sector Trust Fund, financing the water sector.
Sí, ¿vos de qué parte sos? No, no está cerca del mar.
Yo de aquí,
Mira,
¿tú de qué parte eres?
del norte.
Es una zona cerca de Bolivia, pero...
Colgate Herbal is formulated from a unique blend of natural herbs and is scientifically proven to strengthen teeth and keep gums healthy. Try Colgate Herbal, scientifically proven for strong teeth and healthy gums.
Enjoy fantastic offers from soil merchants who have prime residential plots in the outskirts of Nairobi. In Kiserian, Kisamis area near Olepolos Country Club, plots are selling from 195,000 shillings. And in Naivasha, Longonot area, along the old Naivasha highway, just 500 meters from Tarmac, plots are selling from 195,000 shillings. All this are 1/8 acre plots with ready title deeds. The plot's proximity to major infrastructural developments makes them one of the most sought-out areas in Kenya. Water and electricity are available with schools and health facilities nearby. Join us for our site visits every Saturday. For more information, call or WhatsApp us on 0793 111 222. Soil Merchants. Buy today, build today.
Kuna mbomu
15 pounds.
nachukua mbomu. Zinakuja, zinakwenda.
Nahitaji diaper.
Kimeumana.
39, 40,000 shillings.
Number 30.
King, kang. Oh, Bana Kuka! 50,000 Kenya shillings!
Grand, mega.
Enter a world where knowledge is put into practice and the heart of African agriculture beats loudly and energetically.
Welcome to Kikao.
A revolutionary talk show that is changing how people think and look at agriculture in Africa.
This is the particular variety that is suitable.
We will seek to demystify GMOs.
Kikao is a platform where African agriculture takes center stage.
Seeds, just which is which.
From seasoned farmers to thought leaders, they direct us toward a future in which livelihoods thrive and nations prosper.
It became possible to move genes from unrelated organisms.
Kikao, every Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. only on NTV.
Buda, kama uko na kakitu, maganji. Usikuwe mgamu sana kwa mpenzio. Time to time.
NTV, turning on your world.
Hello there and welcome to another special edition of Sport On. My name is Bernard Ndong and I'm joined by my colleague and co-pilot, Mr. James Okabi. Okabi, red is the theme today.
Yes. You see, now we are allowed. You know, last week you couldn't touch red by mistake, or but now this week.
This week is by design.
Yeah, this week now. You can see Peter, you yourself, Sport On the logo itself. Red is the thing.
Right, now it's been, you know what the interesting about sport is the fact that almost just a week ago we had a very major championship happening in Vipingo. We have another major championship coming up in the next few days. Wakabi, can just tell you that sport has a way of uniting Kenyans and just bring that positive energy that we so desperately deserve.
Yes, Bernard. Once February starts, we had the ladies tournament in Vipingo. Then you start moving. They're all coming thick and fast. It's Magical Kenya Open. It's the World Indoor. It's World Cross Country. It's the trials. It's Kipkeino Classic all the way to the Olympics. So when you think about it, once we start to go, it's non-stop all the way. Maybe until we get to September Berlin Marathon. Maybe, but for the next four months, maybe 4 months. My math is terrible. The next 4 months should be fantastic if you're a sports fan.
Indeed, and one man, of course, who is waiting anxiously this weekend to compete at the Kenya Open, Mr. Nduva. Thank you for joining us on Sport. Just first of all, just tell us, in terms of your preparations for this year's event, how have they been going? Because you've featured in the past 4, I believe it's not 5 editions. Right. 5 editions. This is your 6th one.
Yeah.
Your sentiments right now, how do you feel? How do you feel? Excited? 6th time you're competing at the Kenya Open.
I'm happy, by the way. To be honest, it's an achievement for me to play in the Kenya Open. It's not easy because I think we're around 70 pros and we've only taken 9 this year. So it's not easy for us, but this year I'm a little bit more prepared. But a few events this January, we got to play 4 events. Last year we got to play 2. And I feel like playing with the best in Africa, I kind of judge my game with that, and I feel I'm ready going to this Kenya Open.
What would you say is normally the difference between, for example, the competition you have in Safari Tour to when where guys for the DP World Tour come in at the Magical Kenya Open? What's the difference? What's normally the difference in terms of the competition?
I feel those guys are better prepared than we are. They get to play at least 30 to 40 events per year, every year. So for them, it's something that they do week in, week out. For us, sometimes we do get to play, but not enough. Compared to them, we had 6 events since last year, Kenya Open. Those guys have probably played 30, 40 events if guys are pushing it. So you can see for them, it becomes something that you're doing in, out, So it becomes a bit more easier for us. We have to wait for our tournaments to come, and that kind of keeps us a little bit disadvantaged for them.
So come Thursday, what do you do to make sure that you can close that gap despite the obvious disadvantage in terms of how often you compete? What has to be your game plan to make sure that you make an impact or you make the cut?
To be honest, you just have to, like, if you look at the golf course right now, it's playing a little bit tough. So they've grown the rough around the golf course. You have to put yourself in play. Like this year, I'm trying to play a little bit back. When I hit a lot of my 2-iron around the golf course, just put myself in play and then try to get the ball on the green for 2 and try and make a few putts. So this game, to be honest, your short game has to be great. You have to chip well, you have to putt well, and those are the 2 areas I've been working on the most, trying to chip the ball better, putt the ball better, and also get myself in play off the tee.
Mr. Alan Owero, of course, you're representing APSA. You've been supporting the Kenya Open for many years, and this year is also special. Year number 14 for him, it's year 6 playing, but for APSA, it's year number 14. What should we expect this time around?
I think, as always, the Magical Kenya Open presented by APSA is always a great showcase, and it's a showcase not just from a golfing perspective, but it's an all-encompassing experience. So we're looking forward to a great week this week. You know, on the course, off the course, a lot of activities planned in terms of networking opportunities, whether it is for our customers or for those who come to visit or to watch the game of golf. We have lots of entertainment that is planned at the village. So basically, if you are planning for this week, you've got a place to be at the Magical Kenya Open.
There's something interesting that has been introduced this year, and it's the G4D, disability golf. Just give us an idea of exactly what it's all about. I know the name gives an idea, but how is it played? What are the? I'm sure it's slightly different.
Absolutely, and you know, I won't speak from an expert perspective, but from you know, what we've been able to bring as a new thing into this year. So if you look at it, we haven't had golf for disabled in this country. You know, we recognize that we have some players who are you know, who have disabilities within the country, and they still take part in golf, but we haven't brought a competition of this nature. So this year, for the first time, the DP World Tour you know, brought in a different twist into the Magical Kenya Open. So we have you know, players from across the world who have a disability of one kind or the other that will be competing between today and tomorrow.
And you're always involved, other than the big check that you give the organizers, you do sponsor golfers.
Absolutely.
I've seen something about Uganda, even from a Uganda point of view, something is happening there, then from a Kenyan point of view. Just tell us a little bit more about that.
So when you think about, and especially, you know, Nduva talked about the opportunities that they have to play. So before Kenya Open, were involved in a safari tour. We're able to sponsor about three of the safari tours, just to help our local professionals to get their game to the next level and to prepare for the Kenya Open. And equally, you know, we present in Kenya and in Uganda, so our counterparts in Uganda are also supporting the players from Uganda to make sure that they can participate in the Magical Kenya Open. So we try to form that partnership because you know, we believe strongly in empowering, not just you know, bringing the Magical Kenya Open into the country to showcase the country, but also to empower the players and to walk the journey with them.
When people hear golf, ordinarily everyone thinks of silence, quiet, for tee off, but you guys strive to make it a carnival. Yeah, like there's like a carnival atmosphere, like a place you must be from Thursday to Sunday. What should people look forward to? Are there highlights that someone who should know, I cannot afford to miss out being at Muthaiga from Thursday to Sunday?
Like yourself. So we got lots of activities. So and if I could just speak about how we look at it and what we are doing this year is really focusing on more than just golf. Yeah. So if you think about the platform that we have with the Magical Kenya Open, we have a lot of sideline activities. So think about that guy who is grilling at the village, and for him that is the source of livelihood. Think about the greenkeeper who has been working the year long to prepare the course at Muthaiga. For him, it's passion, it's livelihood. So we brought together all those people, and we're seeing an ecosystem of players, you know, not just the golfers, but players in different aspects. So expect that there will be, you know, business networking engagements during the week that speaks to our business people. Expect that there's going to be entertainment for, you know, at the village. So Sherehe will be there Friday, Saturday, going all the way till Sunday. But it's more of a family event. So if you're looking to take your family out over the weekend, then the Magical Kenya Open is the right place to be. But more importantly, is that impact that we leave. You know, the impact on the economy, the impact on the funds is what we're looking at.
Daniel, how does it feel when you're playing in home soil in such a major tournament? I know when you're playing the Safari Golf Tour, it's slightly different. It's not the same stature as the Magical Kenya Open. How is it for this going to your 6th year?
I like the Kenya Open because there's a lot of media attention. You always Instagram guys asking you pictures, interviews. All that part is so much fun, by the way, because I enjoy talking, by the way. So being called out, someone's calling you on the radio, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? I enjoy that, and it's fun. It builds up going into that event because it feels special going into that event. And I'm also carrying the flag high. I'm gonna try to do my best, and just the atmosphere is wonderful. I like it.
How do you handle the pressure? Because you've said, yes, they have the fans supporting you, but this is a bigger tournament. This is watched by millions around the world. How do you handle the pressure?
To be honest, like I used to have a mental coach, and the guy just told me you just have to kind of zone out and put everyone on the side and then focus on what you need to do on that day, because that's why you're there. That's your work. So
what would be your routine now when you tee off?
I kind of just do my same routine. To be honest, I always have my shades on, so that keeps my eyes on everybody. Yes. So that will help me kind of just stay in my zone, stay what I need to do, and that's focus through the whole round, drinking my water, having fruits around that golf, because it's hot out there. And
actually, speaking of the heat, because we're experiencing a very interesting kind of
some would call it almost like a heat wave.
Yes, yes.
Of sorts.
Is it something you're preparing for as well for the Kenya Open? Are you having it in the back of mind how to handle it?
To be honest, I grew up in Mombasa, so the heat, to be honest, it's a little bit same as coast, but just have to drink lots of water, eat, take fruits around the golf course, and that kind of helps you just stay hydrated throughout the whole day, and staying in the shade also. That all helps.
When you look at all the pros that are, they said, like there's 13 Kenyans taking part, when you look at everyone who's in there, what are our chances? Because last year we had one Kenyan make the cut, the previous year we had one Kenyan make the cut. What's the projection this year? How are you guys feeling?
This year I've played with a few of my friends, and everyone's swinging well. If you look at even the scores for the last Safari Tours, guys have been playing really good golf. Last week at Karen, the winner was I think 18 under par. The week before that was like 14 under par. The week before that was probably like 5 under par. So guys are swinging well. I feel like this year we have a good chance, or at least even maybe 5 to even not every one of us making the cut. I feel confident, and I know guys will do well.
How important would it be for you? How significant would it be for you if you are to make the cut?
To be honest, I've been trying, and it's going to make me happy because I want to lift up the flag high, and most of the time only one Kenyan makes the cut, which is disappointing, but I feel this year we have a good chance of guys doing good.
Well, I know you've been intentional this time around to ensure that the Kenyans perform better than previous years. What investment has been done? Because I know there's been a lot of behind the scenes support.
Yeah. So we, as I said, we started off with the Safari Tour, where we put in an investment to support the pros and give them an opportunity to prepare. And coming into Kenya Open, as Absa Bank, we invested up to 75 million shillings, out of which 55 million shillings is actually going to the actual event to help in preparations and ensure that they have all the logistics taken care of. Of course, partnering with the government of Kenya and other corporate players as a leading corporate player. But we also have sideline activities that we're doing to just ensure that our fans get to enjoy the atmosphere in Muthaiga, and that's why we're investing the other part of the money from the 75 million kitty that we are putting into this spot.
As we finish, Mr. Awero, what would be your perfect, if I was to give you blank check, what would you want? What would be your perfect weekend as Absa, as a Kenyan, as a person who loves golf?
Well, perfect weekend is that the 9 Kenyan pros make it through the final 2 rounds.
Yes.
I think that's a perfect weekend. But I think also for every other Kenyan to come to Muthaiga and get to enjoy their time, whether they're following the game of golf or they want to just chill at the village, that's going to be a perfect weekend. And for us as ABSA, it's just ensuring that all the stakeholders get to meet their objectives in terms of what they want to do.
Right. Yeah. Daniel Nduva, thank you so much. All the best in the Kenya Open.
Thank you.
Mr. Owero, thank you so much. Of course, we'll be interacting in the course of the week.
Karibu
Hopefully,
sana.
we'll see us on the sidelines. I know. I need to be standing next to Wakabi to be quiet because those signs don't work with him.
Well, we possibly are going to you know, we'll see.
You take me to the village. Take me to the village.
We take a very short break. Sport One is back. And remember, of course, we gave you an idea of who else is coming on the show. And it's the fastest man in Kenya, the fastest man in the continent, the one and only Ferdinand Omanyala.
When you're finally released from pain. That moment when you start to get back to ordinary, and ordinary feels amazing. Whatever pain you're going through, release starts here.
Enjoy fantastic offers from soil merchants who have prime residential plots in the outskirts of Nairobi. Join us for our site visits every Saturday. For more information, call or WhatsApp us on 0793 111 222. Soil Merchants. Buy today, build today.
Well, that is what we call Wakabi sometimes a relay, because we had 2 gentlemen here, of course, just sharing more about the Kenya Open, and they've handed the baton
to the perfect person to pass the baton to. Because if you're passing a baton, you're passing it to the fastest man in Africa. Fastest Kenyan alive or dead, I think. Yeah, I should be. And of course, the man who preceded him. The man who started this whole journey of sprinting back in the days. Have you seen his pictures, by the way?
Yes, I've seen.
Yeah?
Geoffrey Kimani.
The God loves his people.
Gentlemen, welcome. Geoffrey Kimani, of course, is the head coach of Mr. Ferdinand Omanyala. Mr. Omanyala, thank you for joining us. I think this is a hat trick of visits to our show, right?
Yes.
Hat trick? No.
This is a hat trick, yes.
Yeah, this is
the second time.
Is that the third time?
I don't think so.
We had one last year at the start of the year.
Yeah, that was one.
That was the one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless in your previous...
No, yeah, in my previous life, yes.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Sport On. I know you've had a very busy few weeks, of course, preparing for the World Indoor Championships. I think the first question I'd want to understand, Kim, why agree to be his coach? Because I think we've seen you in different sporting disciplines, but we're interested to understand, why did you take up Omanyala to be his head coach?
Well, my association with him started with the pre-Olympic camp in Kurume. I worked with him for about 6 weeks. And it was interesting because that time I didn't have a background of him. So when we came to camp, I only asked for his photos of his stats and everything. And from his photos, I could pick up a few things that we needed to tweak. So we had a very good working relationship. And then I think post Budapest, when things happened, he gave me a call, and we drew up something that took him through the last 2 races of the season, in Zagreb and then in the DL final. But I was insisting that probably he needs to sit and think, and probably, but he had already made up his mind.
Yeah.
But I took it as a challenge, as a good challenge. And we keep saying as coaches, they only have one career, as we have many. As soon as I'm finished with him, I'll pick up another athlete. So if the talent is there, it's available, it's my duty, it's my calling, my training entails that I have to take care of it and help him realize the full potential. Yeah.
Fedi, first of all, why change the coaches? What made you feel I need a change? What was it? What was the aha moment that made you think I need something different? I need a different voice?
It's a hard question, but of course, credit to Duncan. He did a good job before that. But I worked with Coach Kim in the pre-Olympic camp, and I learned a lot of things. Like, there was so much to be learned during that period. And since then, we were trying to bring him into our club so that he can also help other athletes, but it was a bit of a challenge. So the last 2 seasons have been going so high too early in the season, and we couldn't maintain that towards the end of the season, and that has been affecting me. And you know, time is not on my side as far as my talent is concerned. So I believe that I'm here for not a long time, and if I'm not going to maximize the times that I have and the opportunities that I have, then I'll lose it at some point. So I had to make a change going into the Olympic year. I didn't want to go to Olympic year with doubts in my mind about my training program and what I'm facing.
So, Coach, when he makes the call and you agree to be his coach, what was on your to-do list? The first things, these are the things we must address with Fedi.
Well, first thing, ethically, I needed to consult his coach. So, talked to him, sent him a message, and told him that the athlete has approached me. I'm entitled to do that because as a trained lecturer of the World Athletics, I'm supposed to follow all the rules. But the to-do list was quite long. I thought he needed to lose some weight. I think he was running a bit heavy.
Based on weight, like how many kilos was your target? Like from what to what?
We moved from about 90 to 86. You see, I think the program he was in was more geared towards adding more muscle. But you can still be strong without having those big muscles. And then there was aspect of nutrition. So nutrition, credit to his wife, by the way. His wife is also my athlete.
Yes.
But she also now takes over the homely duties. So they came to my house and I sat them down and we went through what we call performance nutrition. What he's supposed to take, pre-workouts and things like that. So as soon as we addressed that, we were ready to go. So strength was one part, getting his ideal weight so that he's able to run properly, not heavy. And then some issues of mobility around his hip. The hip is a great area. It's a very sensitive area for any athlete because it opens up so many opportunities in terms of you being able to carry more weight, in effect getting more stronger, and then your connective tissue also becomes quite robust. So those are the things we addressed. And then also, we also designed, you see, that the training program is supposed to be designed in conjunction with the athlete. So that you do the tests, you get to understand the weaknesses that he has, and then you ask him, what is your target goal? Obviously, he says he wants to break the 100-meter world record. It's my duty now as a coach to make those goals realistic. So we sit down and draw up a plan and get to arrive at a target goal, and we draw up a training plan based on that. And so far, things have been going well. I think we're on schedule. Just ran 2 races in Miramas and Paris. The thing that we're looking at in the indoors is not just how fast he runs or how well he runs the rounds. We needed to also link what happened in Budapest to this. The indoors now, like for example in Miramas, I think he ran the hits and then in less than 30 minutes, he was to run the final. Paris, the same thing. So can you replicate those runs in the same day in a matter of hours? For that, we've put a tick on it because in Miramas, he started with a 6.62, which was not very good. And then he finished with a 6.52. And then we moved on to the second competition week, which was just a week after. Started with a 657, finished with a 651. So the indoors will give us an indication of the competitiveness of him being able to run rounds with quality output.
Oh, because like in the World Championships or the Olympics, they come close to each other. Fedi, did you feel that like that affected you in Budapest if you were to look back? Because we all thought this is the year, and then we were all left wondering what happened. What happened then, and how much did it affect your thinking, let me change something? When you look back to Budapest, now that you've had a few months to sit back, look at it without emotions, without feelings, what do you think happened to you then?
My mind was in it, and I was so into that championship. I got into the World Championships as the world rank #1. So you see, with that I had an edge and confidence over the others. But then my body was not just in it. Like now what coach is saying, I couldn't handle the races, you know, like you're running a sub-10 today. Can you run the sub-10 tomorrow and run the sub-10 after 2 hours? So that's what really happened. And I'm glad that now I'm feeling much better, that I can run 6.5s in a span of 2 hours. I can run, I don't know about the outdoor, we'll talk about the outdoor later after the indoor season, but I believe I'm way better now.
Coach, what he's mentioning, of course, that adapting, indoor to outdoor, like how easy or difficult is it? Because you can imagine the kind of season he's going to have in 2024. You have the World Indoor Championships, you have the Olympics coming up as well. Just give us an idea of his training program, like a typical day.
Ideally, the first priority for any sprinter is speed. So we say in his general preparation phase, which is now the indoors, he should be the fastest 30-meter runner in the world, because acceleration sets you up for high speed, which is the ideal situation for a sprinter. So we started with acceleration 30, and 30 entails starts and all those things. So we are not forgetting the bigger picture, which is the Olympics. But for us to get to the Olympics, we need to be running better times. We need to get fast very early. It's easier to maintain than to start chasing. And the idea of now him doing the 400 meters at the beginning of the season was just to check where we are in terms of his endurance and his anaerobic thresholds. And then the 200 meters now also gave us an indication of where we were now in the both cases of speed and endurance. So even though we are training for the 60, yes, there are some workouts that we work that are conducive to that environment of the 60, but the bigger picture is always there. So a typical week starts with Monday. We'll start with a gym session. Depending if we have a speed session, the speed session precedes the gym one. And then Tuesday is a more easy session. We do tempos, things that either on the track or on the grass. Wednesday is a rest day. Things he wasn't used to.
And you're very keen on rest.
Very, very keen. The body adapts to the stimulus you give it. So if you continuously give the body a stimulus and you never give it time to adapt to it or rest, then you're not getting anywhere. And then other aspects, apart from him being an athlete, he's a family man, he's in school. His life should not surround around sports. So I'm glad to say he's back in school, and I gave him an ultimatum. If I'm working with you, I have to go back to school. This is setting him up for what will happen after the competitive phase of it. So Wednesday is ideally mostly his rest day. Then we come back again on Thursday. So again, do a speed session or a speed endurance. But the hardest session always is on a Friday, because it sets him up to go for a rest on a Saturday and a Sunday. So the idea, that's a typical training session. But then nutrition also comes into play. So when I'm designing his program, there's colors we put in that program. So any
like
red,
Monday, like today.
Today was a hard session.
Today was hard, man.
So it was a red. There's a red marker there. So the red now, together with the wife and everything, prepares him to even prepare good in terms of nutrition before the session. And then his recovery, he knows what he's supposed to do after the session. Because today's session is not important for us. Tomorrow's session will build up what we did today. If he shows up tomorrow not fully recovered, then tomorrow's session is useless. So recovery is always big, and most of the biggest fights I've had are always tied to recovery.
Fedi, from what I hear from Coach Kim, you've had a bit of a culture shock. Just tell me how the first few months have been between you and him. Like, you have to readjust to this tough man who's known all over the country for how tough he is and strict.
The first week was tough. The first week was, I was almost telling myself, let me just go back to where I came from. But you know, you have to just have that strong mentality and say that now you believe. And he made me feel something that I've never felt before. I've never puked in a training session. I puked at a point. I was looking like the clouds are coming closer to me. I felt like the clouds are coming to pick me up. I had at some point called an ambulance. But yeah, it was tough, but it's been working out, because the moment I step in the track, I don't have that fear of getting the lactic before I get to that cross finish line. So it's been great. It was great.
Coach, it's a long season. It starts in Feb, goes all the way to July, early August. How do you make sure that he picks at the right time? Because one of the things we've all thought, as laymen, of course, we have no clue what you're thinking, but we always think Fedi picks up too early. We think by May, Fedi is running crazy times. Then we feel like, oh, something happened. So how do you make sure that the pick comes right when you want it?
You can plan for a pick. You can even decide when you're going to pick. That's what we call periodization. But this now comes back to coaching education. So you sit down with the athlete and say, we want to run the world indoors. We need this time to, for example, last time he made it to the semis. So we agreed, for you to make the final of the world indoors, you need to be around 648, 650. Once you get into the final, then we can talk about other things. So now you plan your session based on his first pick is going to be for the indoors. Then he comes back, we go down into what we call a transition. Then you start building up again for the next pick. So it's a series of picks that are planned for. This year, now scientifically we call it a double periodized year. So he has an opportunity to pick twice. Okay, so if you don't follow that periodization route, then you'll have what you're saying, an athlete who picks very fast and then fades away very early in the season. So you can plan for those picks. And those picks also tell you, you can even have an indication. For example, he can tell you, his first sub-9, he ran to the mark that I told him. I told him your first sub-10 will be 996. Yeah. That's what he ran. Based on what the times he was giving me and the programs we were doing during the pre-Olympic camp. Before we left for the indoor season now, I told him we are in 648, 650. So we're already at 651. So we have a target goal to get to the final of the World Championship, and he knows what that target is.
So how are you able to tell that? Like, how are you able to get that spot on?
Pun intended. Eh?
Pun intended.
It's a series of the training sessions. For example, we can say in these 4 weeks, our focus will be only on acceleration, and that acceleration you should ultimately culminate in you getting me these times. So it even shows you, there's a template that we use. If he's around 3.8 in the 30s, 3.6s, we are looking at this time in the 60.
You're able to project.
So yeah, you're able to project. And if you can project, then you can double back, regress and see. If we are not getting there, what do we need to do before trouble hits us in front? If he's ahead, you can also tether him. He has a young brother now who's 19 years.
Yeah, Isaac.
I took that kid, he was doing 10.8s, now he's doing 10.3. But his target for this year is 10.4. Even if he runs a 9.9, I'm not looking at it because it's progressive. So he gets a 10.4 and then we progress to the next season because we follow what we call the 5 to 10% rule. Your training should always increase by 5% every season. And now it also informs us of what we see. How many national junior champions transition to become senior champions? Very few. Because the ages that they are trained like elite athletes. So the thresholds are already busted when they are
they're already way ahead of their schedule.
So it's supposed to be like we follow what we call a long-term athlete development pathway. At this age group, this kid is supposed to be doing this and this only. We move to the next age group and this is what he's supposed to be doing. That way now you have athletes who have longevity and can be on top for a very long time.
Yeah.
Freddy, listening to the coach, I can tell for a fact that there's also a lot of reading.
Of course. This is science, my friend.
So I'm guessing, so books is now part of your training program as well?
He teaches us. He teaches us. Every time we're doing something, it's not like he just comes with
homework.
No notes. But, you know, we store it in our heads. We are bright people. So anytime he comes to the training sessions, he explains to us, like, this, we're doing this because of this. We are doing this because of that. And, you know, it makes us also learn. And when you get home, every time, I've always hated training. Like, I've never loved training. And I've always been looking forward to races as a safe place for my mind. because I don't want to think about tomorrow's session. I want to think about the better part, which is racing. I love racing. So since we started working with him, I've always looked forward to training. I'm not even thinking about World Indoors. I'm thinking about what I'm going to do tomorrow because I'm enjoying training. So that part, for me, I want to get better in training. And you know, that of course culminates to racing. So I'm loving training right now.
What about the mental aspect as well? Because of course there was based on your performance last year, World Championships, most people expecting something, but we won't go back to that. But the mental element is something I think has also been very important for you as well. How is that also being improved with this new arrangement? So
I'm in the perfect place right now because this season we are going in with a different mentality. I'm not going to give people predictions. I'm not going to tell people I'm going to do this and do that. No, that's done. I mean, like, I'm not going to do that anymore. And for me, like I said, it's handling each day as it comes.
Yes.
Don't ask me, what's your expectations, the World Indoor Championships. I don't have expectations. I'm just going there to execute the races. If my execution is the best in the world, then that's it. So this year I'm going with a different mentality. And like I said, I'm enjoying training. Like, I'm handling each day as it comes. And I'm handling each race as it comes. Like I told you, I'm not going to think about the outdoor, and you're not done with the indoor.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just getting each day in the bag and making sure that I'm getting better in the training. The targets, he sets for us targets in training. We've never had like, you know, previously we've been training a group, and you're doing like 150 meters, and you're doing like 6. But now we're doing each one. If you're doing the same workout, everybody lands on his own. You have your time target. If you don't achieve those time targets, there's no set, no rep. So you see, with that, it makes you be competitive on your own way, you know, like no showboating in training. So it's nice.
No showboating in training. Interesting. Hearing that from Mr. Ferdinand Omanyala. We continue the conversation after this short break on Sport On. Stay tuned.
Get ready for the future. Nation Media Group presents the 15th edition of the Higher Education Expo and Career Fair 2024, where dreams meet opportunity. Dive into the future with us at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, KICC, on February 29th to 1st of March 2024. Unlock a world of possibilities. This year's theme: educate, equip, empower, because the future belongs to those who shape it. Youth engaging activities, exhibitions, plenary discussions, career guidance, and mentorship. Join thought-provoking discussions with experts, dive into workshops, and explore the future of education.
Enter a world where knowledge is put into practice and the heart of African agriculture beats loudly and energetically.
Welcome to Kikao,
a revolutionary talk show that is changing how people think and look at agriculture in Africa.
This is the particular variety that is suitable.
We will seek to demystify GMOs.
Kikao is a platform where African agriculture takes center stage.
Seeds, just which is which.
From seasoned farmers to thought leaders, they direct us toward a future in which livelihoods thrive and nations prosper.
It became possible to move genes from unrelated organisms.
Kikao, every Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. only on NTV.
Enjoy fantastic offers from soil merchants who have prime residential plots in the outskirts of Nairobi. Join us for our site visits every Saturday. For more information, call or WhatsApp us on 0793 111 222. Soil Merchants. Buy today, build today.
Well, welcome back to Sport On a night in which we are talking quite a bit about speed, you know what? And we've got the past and the present. What do I mean the past? The man who's coaching Fedi today was one of Kenya's top sprinters back in the 80s, late 80s, 90s? In the 90s, and then you, of course, transitioned into coaching. And when you see Fedi doing what he's doing at a world level, How does that make you feel, given the way during your time it almost looked like an impossibility? No one ever thought a Kenyan would be right up there.
I think those people who know me, for me, it's like a deja vu. Those people who know me, I was a national junior champion in 1991. And we were taken into a team that had all the best juniors. We went and competed against the teacher training college. It used to be called the Triangular Games. So we competed then. My teammates then were the big shots. There was Vincent Malakwen, who went to become a very good 800-meter runner. Benson Koech. Cosmas Ndeti's brother, he was called Josephat. He was in the same team. Rose Cheruiyot. So I remember even during those times, most of the coaches would tell us, hii 100, 200, you can try something else. So I was the only one who was adamant and remained in the 100, 200. So looking at Fadi, and it's something I told myself that if I was going to continue with this thing, I would want to be in a position where I help some of these sprinters get to where they're supposed to be. I also give credit to the Regional Development Center in Kasarani. It was under John Velzian. So at a very young age, I was able to go there and get books and read and videos and watch. So I would compare the training I'm getting and what the books are saying, and there was always some disconnect. So I told myself, if I'm going to be the change, then I have to improvise and adapt to what is being taught. So Fadi, again, is in a very lucky position that he's gotten his space by his own ability and his own consistent. So when he called me and said, you know what, probably this is the moment. This is the moment that
you missed out on.
I was missed out, yeah. So getting this young man to run those good times and adapting. I'm not a magician. I'm just applying what is in the books. And the biggest problem we have in our country is coaching education. Most people don't want to go back to class. Okay, so many things change by the year. Research changes so many things. So if you're not going to adapt and continue changing, then you'll have difficulties even coaching this generation that's coming over athletes. When you were growing up, we didn't have much. For you to learn, you have to go to a book. Them, they have the internet. In fact, we say the generation that we are coaching now is not looking for information. They already have it. They are looking for clarity. The only person who can clarify it is somebody who's gone to class and learned it. And they are very also inquisitive. They also ask questions. And if you're telling him do this and Google says so, then you'll be in problems with them. Talking of Google and the internet, you also have to be in a position now to talk to him and show, okay, Google says this, but this is workable only for this kind of athlete. Because if you were to Google even Usain Bolt's program, you'll find it. But that program is tailored towards Usain Bolt, his stature, his body, his strength, his weaknesses. So you have to tailor-make something that's specific to him. Yeah.
You know, Kabi, when I listen to Coach, it's fascinating. It's almost like a marriage made in heaven, because he has also experience in rugby. Of course, most people knew him from the Rugby Sevens team. Fadi Nomanyala used to play rugby as well, then transitioned to athletics. For you, having that kind of background, did that help as well in terms of being in charge of training Fadi Nomanyala? Because there are other rugby players who've become athletes, and performance has not been as the same.
Clearly the talent, he's a very talented athlete. If I was to take you back, even Collins Omai started off as a very good rugby sevens player. But I think that what makes them really tick, the rugby players, is that the background of rugby has a lot of strength training. What is missing in track now is the ability of them to combine the strength part and, you know, with the running part. So, and I've always said, I said it some time back, that if there was going to be somebody who's going to make a change in Kenyan sprints, it would be somebody who's had a background of rugby training. So it didn't surprise me. It's only that it took longer. I think he would have broken the ceiling quite early. So.
Coach, you've been with several teams, several disciplines: Mathare, Tusker, Kenya Sevens, boxing team, volleyball team, athletics. How do they compare in terms of soaking in information, following instructions, getting the results? Is there similarities? Are they very different?
Again, it comes back to the education part. You must understand what you're teaching for them to also understand. So like you said, I'll be coaching rugby in English, but very fast switch to Sheng. Teach the same thing in Sheng, in boxing, or even in soccer. So it's an ability of, first of all, understanding what is it that you want to teach them. And it's not really too complicated. Every athlete aspires to become faster and stronger. It doesn't matter whether you play rugby or what. So I call them athletes. All of them are athletes. First of all, I make you fit, fast and strong without getting injured. Then I hand you your implement. You could be a hockey player. You could be a rugby player. Because what good is it to be the guy with the best bench press in the room, but once you get the ball, you fall apart. So strength and conditioning prepares athletes to compete in various sports. So a strength and conditioning coach is trained to work with athletes across all sports. All he needs to know and to understand is the rules of that sport. For example, the ball is passed backwards in rugby, and then things we call the energy systems. He requires to do one big burst. A rugby sevens player is required to do numerous bursts. So there's an aspect of conditioning. How fast can you do it running at those intensities without falling apart? A soccer player also does those short bursts. So when you're designing programs for them, you now put the aspect of the sport that they're engaging in. A volleyball player jumps a lot. So there'll be an aspect of strength training in the workouts and also plyometrics to prepare them for the sport that they're engaging in. So an SNC coach is not a know-it-all. It's somebody who's trained, somebody who has the knowledge to enhance performance. And the reason we write these programs is not just to enhance performance. A good program, a good training program helps you reduce injury risks for the players. An athlete who's not prone to injury will always show up to training the following day. The more training sessions he has in his body, the better he becomes.
Freddy, obviously you touched on this briefly. You're back in school. Help us understand how you juggle all that, because you're now a brand.
Yeah.
But there's also school. How do you juggle that? And you're also a police officer as well.
Yes.
How do you juggle all these things?
So now, at least, we're not spending so much time in training as much as we are doing high intensity training sessions. And the good thing about the program that I'm doing right now is once you are in it, the pain is in there. Like after you leave that track, your body now comes back to like normal. As much as I die on track, it doesn't affect me to the rest of the day. So you just like go and plan yourself, and it's 4 hours max. That's morning, evening if there's an evening session, but it's mostly 2 hours. So after that, I got time to go to class, do my pracs. But luckily, after COVID, they introduced online classes, so that has really helped. And of course, I'm also a police, but you know, I'm an athlete. That's my job.
How much has you been going to Kiganjo and passing and going through the pass? How much has it changed you? Has it changed you in any way? Has it given you a different aspect?
Yeah, I mean, but I've always been a disciplined boy, you know. Going through that system just made me get reminded of who I'm supposed to be and how I'm supposed to carry myself out there. Yeah.
And of course, like Bernard mentioned, you're also a brand, because we've seen you this year. You've got a few endorsements coming your way. You have a lot to juggle.
Yeah.
So just so you have to find a way. So how are you able to do all those things? And how good is it? How happy are you when you see this and then you look back to 2021 to 2019 and then you see yourself now?
One thing I can say is life changes, but you as a person never change. Money can never make you a white person. Money can never make you a Chinese, you know. Status will change, but you'll still remain the same person. So for me, that's one thing that I always remind myself. Like with all these things, I've lived a life where I've survived on 100 shillings a day, and that now I'm living a life that I can access whatever I want. So I know both sides of life. So as much as I'm happy, as much as I'm comfortable, I don't forget where I come from. And one thing I'm happy about is brands are now coming to me and they want me to endorse them, which is a good thing. It makes me concentrate. But you know, the main thing for me to get these brands is performance. So training has to come first, and my performance is what will bring all these brands. So as much as I'm happy that I got the brands, one thing still remains: you have to perform. Yeah.
Coach, the mental aspect. How do you train that? How do you harness that? Because it's something that is also critical. You can do everything else, but if the mental is not switched on, is it something that you also work on, or is it, somebody mentioned somewhere that there's a mental coach somewhere. I don't know if it's true, if it's...
Last week, actually.
Last week.
Someone said they think you're already working with someone. Do you work with the mental coach?
He is the mental coach.
He's the mental coach. So you wear two hats.
Well, I still come back to what I said. The training of a coach.
Paying attention.
It's not that he's not paying. The training of a coach, and I help in World Athletics. I do these courses for coaches around the region. The curriculum covers everything, from psychology to nutrition to everything. And the mental aspects are there. Even relationships at home and how you relate with your athlete. So it's always covered there. The other thing that makes them really get is when they are tied to the track for long. That's why I introduce him. You have to go to school. Because if I'm with you today for 2 hours, go to class. The jokes they make in class will be much better than mine. So when you come back to training the following day, you're already refreshed for that. Also, because he's not getting injured, injuries really put a lot of strain on these athletes. Because the program is optimum, is not getting him injured, then the mental aspects are really taken care of. So, like you said, we don't have those experts, but experts come in dire situations. But any coach who's gone through the training has the capability and the tools to handle these athletes. And remember, Ferdinand is now the age, he's my son. He's the age of my son. I've reached a point where I started training people who are close to my age, and as I'm progressing now, I'm coaching people who are close to the ages of my son. So apart from even just making him a better athlete, I want to make him a better husband, you know, a better father. Yeah. So those are things we talk about, and not many people ask.
So the off-track sessions you guys have as well.
The first thing I ask, how did you sleep? And how are you doing? Okay.
Has he put blue ticks on his WhatsApp, so at least you...
No, he's never. He knows the consequences. So in fact, even if training is the main thing, if he comes in and I look at him and I see probably there's something bothering him and he's not able to do, from the feedback that I get in the first thing in the morning, I'll cancel the session. We'll do something else. So that's taken care of. And as a coach, you can catch those things very, very fast. Yeah. Even by looking at him and his eyes, I can tell he didn't sleep well. And I dig deeper and I'll get to know so many things.
Freddy, I know you've said you really don't want to talk much about World Indoor, but it's next weekend.
Yeah, next week Friday.
It's next week Friday.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you are keeping a close eye on the US Championships, for example, indoor, and Noah Lyles, Christian Coleman flying off 643, 644. Do you guys have I'm not going to ask about a medal, but what do you guys have a target? What's your target for our championships? Is it 649? Is it 648? But is it to get to the final? What's the game plan now getting in there? Who goes fast?
We have our target. The target time is set. Incidentally, it's close to what you've just mentioned.
Yeah.
Our target goal for this season was 645. We looked at 645 because we looked at his previous season. He did a lot of 6-6s, and then he went to the World Championships, World Indoors, and only made it to the semis. So we looked at those people who made the semis and we said, okay, for you to make the finals, you have to be in 6'4", 6'5" shape. So first of all is to get to 6'4", 6'5" shape. When we get to the final, the championships are quite, you might be surprised, it might be one in the 6'5", 8". It could be somebody else. In terms of whatever is happening, works very well for us because now the spotlight is not on us. We are not cocky, but...
Does that help? Does that help him? Because like he said previously, he'd sit here and tell us, I'm going to run 958. I'm going to break the world record. And then, or I'm going to win this. And this year he's very clear. He's like, no, I'm not saying it. No, do you think it helps him? Does it help him? In which way does it help him?
It's the goals that we said, the realistic ones. And I told him, it's not that I put him on tethers. I told him, you can't stop him. Sprinters are known to be cocky. But I told him, you can express yourself. Locally, when you express yourself, people perceive you to be proud, but it's a sprinter's thing. So I told him, even though you're going to make those statements, we have to back them up now. It's not you, but me. Like in Miramas, I was under so much pressure. I'm the new coach.
It's the first race.
It's the first race.
Yeah.
So what is it that special that he brought? But he's not under any pressure. We are not under any pressure.
Yeah.
The targets we've set, I'm sure we are going to.
So with coach said 645. So whatever 645 gives us,
that's what you take.
Yeah.
And then you move on.
Fadi, you were in Austria after Miramas. After you went to Austria,
yeah.
We saw you with a lot of gadgets and things. What was happening?
So in Austria, we went to do tests, and they were very, very insightful because we can't make decisions by looking at you. There are some tests we did with coach when we started the season, but now we went to do specific tests, ankle mobility tests, calf strength tests, adductors, abductors tests. And funny thing is, we realized that my left core is weak. The way I'm big and with all those abs, I have a weak, I have a weak left core. So we got a lot of answers, and we got a lot of insights from that 1 week. It was around 3 days that we spent there. And now we were given workouts that will enhance and help with that. And you're like, coach always tells us, never stop learning. So any chance you have a chance of learning, just grab it.
You take away from those tests over and above what he mentioned.
You saw it was a very high kind of...
How long were you guys there for, by the way?
For 3 days. For 3 days.
Okay.
3 days, yeah.
And it was a state of the art and all that. Before those tests, every coach is given like a battery of things that you can look at. For example, if I were to compare his lower body strength and his upper body, there's this battery of tests that I can do. But what we did now, what we got there now was the detailed part that gives you the numbers between the hamstring and the quad. So is the quad giving the same output as the hamstring? Mm-hmm. Is his left side the same as the right side? Mm-hmm. So those are biomechanical things. That's what I'm saying. First of all, you get to understand where your athlete is. And then if you're not getting to your goals, or if, for example, the biggest issue I had is one of his legs was always evading outside. So I needed to find out. We've worked on his hip mobility, we've worked on strength, but he's still persisting. But from those tests now, we're able to pinpoint where the issue is, and it is easier for me now to design a program that helps now fix those things. So next level is that if you want now your athlete to compete consistently at that level, then you need those kind of...
and how often will you be doing this?
They recommend every 6, but ideally this was supposed to be done at the beginning of the season, because there are some tests that we skipped. Because the season, the week that we were in, we could not do a lot of intense workouts because we are at the back of our mind, this is the week we need to do a lot of work leading into the World Indoors. So ideally, there's much more tests that can be done in the beginning of the season, okay? And then the other tests that we do every 4 to 6 weeks, we call it a mesocycle. The mesocycle, you go in and say, this is our target for this mesocycle. Then you take him through the program. Then you test at the end of the program to see, did we achieve those targets? Right. So every test can come at the beginning of the season or every 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah.
So this sounds very modern and scientific. Now, with all due respect, this is Kenya, this is plus 254. You guys probably are struggling to find a track in which to train in. How are you guys able to make all these things work? Like, because what you guys are talking about and what we see on the ground hazipelekani kidogo.
It's the knowledge. Once you have the knowledge, then you can also improvise. Okay, if you don't have this machine, that knowledge tells you can do. If you don't have a bench press machine, you can do something else to get the same effect. In fact, we say strength and conditioning. Your body does not know that you're lifting a state-of-the-art dumbbell. Your body just needs to be in an overload for it to adapt. So whether you're lifting a stone or a jerrycan of 20 kgs, as long as you're able to, quantify that,
yes,
then it doesn't matter. You could be training in a 5-star hotel or training in the backyard, but it has to be put into a perspective. These are the goals we are looking for. This is the adaptation we want to elicit from this training.
Yeah, because I saw pictures earlier on in this season of you guys, you were somewhere with tarmac. And he was doing the sprints. And I remember thinking, is it by design? Is it improvisation? Why are they on tarmac?
That was my first hard session, by the way.
What is your first hard session?
Yeah, there's a clip we saw of you being picked by the coach.
Yeah, that was the session that I almost gave up. Like,
so what are you doing and why are you guys on tarmac?
That was it was a hill session, so you want a strength endurance session.
Yeah.
The things that we look for is not just a hill. The gradient has to be right. The length has to be right. So it's my duty, apart from being a coach, I'm also a scout of training.
You're traveling around.
So when I look at that, can be a good hill to kill Farina. So I look at the gradient and all that. So that hill then matched our gradient. People might have concerns, why are you doing it on tarmac? There's technology now, there's better cushion shoes. So there's always things to go about. So yeah.
Ferdy, he's touched on shoes. Is that a factor for sprinters? Because I know for long distance runners, you have to have shoes that have a certain kind of composition. I know you use spikes, but is it even a factor at all?
I can say maybe 1%, but you can never give an athlete a spike and expect him to run fast. You know, it's all about you. It's all about the athlete. If you're in good shape, you're in good shape. If you're not in good shape, shoes can never make you run fast. But of course, we appreciate the technology that the shoes bring, and they are more lighter now. They are very, very light. So it gives us an edge over the others. You know, it's business. Shoe companies are in business, but you can't start now putting your mind in shoes and then forgetting that you're an athlete, that you need to train and just use the shoes to run. When we started working with Coach Kim, he told us it's never a celebration to wear spikes, because previously we could celebrate like next week we're wearing spikes, but it's never a celebration. You can do tempos in your normal training shoes, or you just wear spikes.
Tempos, you know, just
he can explain.
We know, but how do you know?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, tempos are sub-maximal runs that aim to improve the aerobic capacity or anaerobic. So there are myths. There are myths in training that you can't wear spikes this early in the season, but surely you'll be running in spikes, whether you like it or not. If you wear them on day 1 or day 2, you're still going to be running in spikes. So those myths have to be taken care of, and I'm glad. He's a very smart guy, very receptive, and like I said, he smiles a lot. I've had a problem with him. There was a workout, he was about to pass out.
Yes.
Because, Ferdinand, are you okay? Yeah, he's just smiling and saying he's okay. Until now, my instincts say, no, I can't push this guy more. And then now the other aspect of relationship comes in, so I had to have a conversation with the wife. This man is always smiling, so when can I tell? When
which smile means this, which smile means that?
I was given pointers, so I already know.
Yeah. So why do you? So when you're smiling like that, are you? Is it a coping mechanism? Are you coping with the pain? Are you?
No, you know, life never take life so serious. Good things happen when you're happy. So for me, I always, even if I'm getting to a meeting and I realize there's a lot of tension in the meeting, I always try to make something that will make people laugh, and it eases up a lot of tension. So in training sessions, for me to make coach believe that I'm okay, I have to smile, and you know, I have to finish my workouts. But he told me that it's not a must you to finish your workouts. You can.
You said earlier on that your time is running out. You're 28.
Yeah.
So you are feeling like your window for making history is closing. How far do you think, how much more do you think you have at the very
That was then. That was then.
That was then.
That was then.
Now you're feeling fresh. Fresh and young.
Yeah, I mean,
rejuvenated.
Like, he knows about edge training.
The peak athletic age for every, you know, we retire our athletes very fast. The peak athletic age of any athlete is 26 to 35 years. If they have good, remember the phases I talked about. If you're going through those phases, those LTAD phases, long-term athlete development, you're supposed to be now hitting your peak from 26 to 35. How old
so he's only 2 years into his peak.
Exactly. Yeah.
At Eliud at his age now is still running sub 2. Yeah, so.
No, so for some of us, we like that, but for those of us who like when Fed used to tell us, I'm going to win the Olympics. I'm going to win the, now we don't know what to ask as the wrap-up question. Like, Barad, we don't know what to say. Like, it's the last thing. So if we ask Fedi for the first time in his life, Fedi is like, ask coach, and you're like, this is new. So I'm not sure how
he's had to learn a lot of things.
I'm not sure how we finish. I'm not sure whether we have a promise, we don't have a promise. I don't know. But
in life, the best lesson is experience. You know, like I can't come and tell you something that you haven't experienced and expect to feel the same. So I experienced it, and I saw how hard it is, and expecting things that you're not, you know, for the world champs, I knew I'm getting in as world rank number 1. The worst I could be was number 3. And then you see what happened. And that took me off my foot completely. Like I was out for weeks. At some point it was said I have mental issues. So it was tough. Like it was very tough. So I said, going into this season, cut your expectations, just work hard. And just work. So for you guys, don't ask me what I'm expecting next week. Just wait and see. We have our target goal, so let's see if we achieve it. But I'm sure we'll achieve it. So whatever that target goal puts us, we'll take it.
We'll take it. We'll wait and see. That is the big takeaway. A rejuvenated Ferdinand Omanyala, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Geoffrey Kimani, we really appreciate it. And all the best.
Thank you.
In the World Indo Championships next week in Glasgow, Scotland. From the entire team who made the show possible, we say asante sana. Hope to see you again very soon.
the Water and Sanitation Investors Conference at KICC, Nairobi, Kenya, from 6th to 8th March 2024. The theme of the conference is Accelerating Investments for Sustainable Access to Water and Sanitation for All. See you there.